And welcome to the Daily Live. If you're seeing me for the first time, ever since the sheltering in place order became a thing, I have gone live at least once a day with what I think is a very interesting guest. Sometimes I know them, sometimes I don't, but hopefully this will give you an opportunity to get to know them. And today I have the privilege of talking to Dr. Koushik Reddy. I'm going to let him tell you who he is. He was introduced to me by Amy, who had interviewed him, and I watched the interview and I was very impressed with his story. So please welcome Dr. Reddy.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Chef AJ. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Amy for making the connection and also making this possible on such a short notice. So my name is Koushik Reddy. I'm an interventional cardiologist. I'm the director of the program at the Tampa VA Hospital. I've been here at the same job for about almost 14 years now. And my journey into what I do now is an unlikely probability. So for me to do this type of interviews, for me to go across the country, speak at different venues, talking about prevention, lifestyle medicine, and plant-based diets. It's an extremely unlikely probability because my career, my training, my life usually is being siloed into a lead shielded dark dungeon of a cardiac catheterization lab. That's where I spend my time. That's where I trained. That's what I always wanted to do. And so it's very extremely unlikely for someone like me is going, as many places as I can travel to locally and, nationally, to tell people to make a guy like me go jobless if you want to. So that is, I don't have a personal compelling life story in terms of a disease modification or reversal. Mine is more of a professional transformation as to how I woke up one day and kind of decided to, just based on patient experiences, simple examples like I would do, a whole bunch of cardiac interventions, and I sit down to do reports, and I'm noticing these patterns is that every single one of these patients are burdened with diseases such as, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, sedentary lifestyle, smoking. Literally every single one of them, in vast majority of us, are preventable by just very simple 3 or 4 lifestyle choices. And yet we are treating them with very expensive advanced procedures which come with a cost, personal cost and professional cost. So the question I asked myself about a few years ago, after doing about 6 or 7 procedures, is if I'm treating all these patients, if I'm treating a diabetic to the best of my knowledge with the guideline-driven medical therapy, and same thing with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, why is it that such a large proportion of these patients end up on my table either needing a stent or having a heart attack? So when I asked that question, a second question popped in my head, was a humbling question, which an answer to which literally transformed my entire personal and professional life. And the second question is, did you get your entire career wrong? And to my shock, the answer to myself was, yes, this is not how you treat people. And so out of that answer was a sense of trying to reinvent myself. And when I looked around, lifestyle medicine, plant-based nutrition, or nutrition in general, is another shocker because I found myself completely void of knowledge and formal training in the most important attribute of disease prevention and reversal. So now there are some medical schools, some training programs that are beginning to talk this language very early on, nothing very organized yet. So I had to resort to books written for lay people, Joel Furman's books, Michael Greger's books, Dean Ornish's books, various other books, and I pull out the literature to, wow, these are pretty impressive medical journals that this data was published on. So one thing led to another, and this kind of became my mainstream medicine to a point. You probably heard me say this. I walked the hospital wearing a jacket that reads, people think it's funny, but it's gotten a lot of attention. It's just my white coat actually reads, I have a carrot and a stent, you pick.
That's brilliant. I also heard you say on one of your interviews that there's no buck in broccoli.
There is no buck in broccoli. It's let's face it, it's just the preventive medicine, you can look it up, even 2019 statistics, the people, and we are paying a consequence even as we go through this viral pandemic. The people in the entire medical industry in this country who literally at the rock bottom of financial cushion in terms of salary that they make are our public health officials and our primary care doctors. So we have an inverted pyramid where the base of the pyramid, which the entire system stands on, is the tertiary care, advanced procedures, advanced pharmaceuticals, advanced devices. Where so we are, since the pyramid is inverted, it's going to wobble and fall. And so the onus is on all of us, professionals and community activists, and people like you, Chef AJ, is to literally hold this pyramid and flip it upside down. And otherwise, it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable at a financial level, at a moral level, at an ethical level, and obviously, at a healthcare level. It's just not sustainable. So I'm kind of doing my own little part as to my sphere of influence. I work full time for the VA system. And for all the veterans out there, if you're listening to this, thank you for your service. And that's the only job I've ever held. Never worked outside a day besides the VA. And so and all of this led to starting a lot of programs locally at the VA hospital. I teach a class every Friday afternoon called the HEAL class. This is exclusively at the VA hospital in Tampa. Just like in healing, the word HEAL stands for Healthy Eating and Living a class. And then out of that class, a lot of interest and a lot of veterans and referring doctors had asked us. And we started a new program about 4 months ago. It's a 6-week program called the CALM program, CALM, stands for Comprehensive Approach to Lifestyle Medicine. So we invite veterans and a family member. We sit with them for 2 hours every Friday, and we organize them into 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. We teach them about the social stuff, because let's face it, it's to look at somebody who is 55, 65 years of age and is now burdened with diabetes and high blood pressure. And I come as a stranger and say, hey, I want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things differently. It's tough. They need support. And so that's why one of the first classes is social support. And we spend an hour on, 2 hours on sleep hygiene. We spend 2 hours on stress reduction and mindfulness. And of course, every lecture, every single one of those sessions, the foundation of is nutrition. We talk a lot about nutrition. So, and and then on top of that, I was lucky to be nominated and got elected as the treasurer for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which is a huge force behind a lot of what we do to do our part to transform healthcare in this country. So, long-winded answer, but that's who I am. That's where I am. And what started as my personal quest to a personal answer to a simple question has now transitioned from a purpose to my life's mission.
Well, it sounds wonderful, and I'm so happy to get to know you and your work. You mentioned to the veterans, thank you for their service. Well, thank you for your service, all the doctors in general right now, but especially the plant-based doctors, because I know it can't be easy. Not that you're so much going against your colleagues, but before we went live, I had asked you, how long had cardiology been a specialty? Because when my grandfather graduated medical school in the early 1900s, there were no cardiologists. And you mentioned you're an interventional cardiologist. What about having a preventative cardiologist? That's what I see you as.
There is, there is actually a formal branch called preventive cardiology. There is an organization called American Society of Preventive Cardiology. It's only, as a matter of fact, only about a week ago, they launched their first journal, an entire journal dedicated to preventive cardiology. But that's where it is. If you really look at if you really, kind of go into the weeds of this, the leading cause. That's why I tell people, we should stop telling America that the leading cause of disease and death in America is heart disease and cancer. That to me, I call it a lie. The leading cause of disease in America and the leading cause of death in America is our lifestyle. Yeah, we should, just like, telling people that leading cause of lung cancer is, we told them the leading cause of death was lung cancer. No, leading cause of death used to be smoking, right? It's like, how we phrase those words. So it's extremely important that we rephrase and tell America that the, number 1, number 2 leading causes are directly related to lifestyle, predominantly the dietary lifestyle choices we make.
So the majority of your patients would not even be patients if they followed a proper diet, got good sleep hygiene and some exercise, right?
Oh, absolutely. I literally challenged my veterans and my colleagues, and I said, I am on a mission I'm challenging you. I'm daring you to see if you guys can make me go jobless.
I love it. I love your attitude. So I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Kim Williams soon. He was the past president of the American College of Cardiology. Did it make a difference at all when he was president? Because one of the lines that he says that I love is there's 2 kinds of cardiologists, vegan or those that haven't read the data. So what do you think of that quote? And did his presence make a difference at all?
It did, but Kim Williams, Kim Williams is on a team that I'm a member of. Is American College of Cardiology has a national working group. Is a bunch of like-minded cardiologists who come together. We think of ideas, we think of research papers, we think of manuscripts. It's led by a really fascinating man named Dr. Andrew Freeman out of Denver, Colorado. And that's how I kind of got to know Dr. Kim Williams through emails and stuff like that. So yes, he did, and he continues to make an impact as much as he could on this field to making a cardiovascular medicine, primarily the preventive portion of it, primarily based on nutrition and lifestyle medicine. So it did make some difference, though. I'll tell you, because if you look at the guidelines, if you look at the way you influence, at his level, Kim is one of those giants in the field of cardiology in terms of his academic contribution. So when I first heard him say that, I just could not believe. I said, "Wow, I wish I had a mentor like this when I was a trainee." Now, inspired by, people like Kim Williams, where I am at the Tampa VA and our affiliate universities, University of South Florida, as of my last count, which is a couple of months ago, we are the only program in the entire United States cardiovascular medicine program where I teach my cardiology fellows on a monthly basis and a 1-hour class on plant-based nutrition. And, the inspiration was from, people like Dr. Kim Williams. He did what he could while he was in office as the president of ACC, but mentors like him and influencers like him continue to change medical minds like they did with mine.
That's incredible. I come from a family of doctors, all my uncles, grandfather, brothers, cousins. And I remember at one point, my uncle was a president of a local chapter of the American Heart Association. And at the awards dinner, they serve the worst food possible. It's almost like they don't even make the connection.
Sure. And the connection with it, there is such a deeply entrenched culture. It's going to take a long time. This is, that's what I tell people, even at a personal level and at a society level, these changes take a long time. One simple analogy, if you really look at the 2019 American Heart Association prevention guidelines, the process to meet is actually get a level 3, means that they're actually bad for you, or they're actually harmful to you. And then I say that to my patients, I show them the slides, but the next thing is they go to a local grocery store, you go past by the deli meat section, and there are at least 7 or 8 different deli meats with an American Heart Association logo on it. And sometimes they come back and say, "Did you say that American Heart Association gave it a class 3 as it's bad? Why is their logo on it?" So, that the corporate culture of medicine, American Heart Association does amazing stuff. They do a lot of good to cardiovascular medicine, but there are certain sections that are culturally, from a corporate point of view, those decisions, I think it's going to take a long time for that culture to change. But I think we are heading that way. I'm very truly optimistic about this. It's going to take longer than what we want, but it's at least it's heading in the right direction.
That's great. Linda, who's watching live, wanted to know, have you been able to influence any other doctors adopt this way of eating?
That's one thing, I have been very fortunate at within my faculty. And there was, I wouldn't say opposition, there was some genuine clinical concerns when I first started this program, because, asking people to go 100% plant-based, or at least even bringing that up, was a kind of a culture shock for a system. But now, literally every single person, even some of my colleagues who are not personally 100% practitioners of that way of eating, they send me consults all the time, because of because of COVID situation now. There are, last I checked a couple of days ago, there are 189 patients waiting to attend the class.
That's amazing, because we have a question from Carol. How does one attend the classes? They can't just be a veteran, they have to be in Tampa, correct?
For now, we have, through the entire VA system. Some of you, if you're, anybody online, if you're working for a VA nurse, as any capacity, you probably heard of a program within the VA system called a Whole Health program. It's a national program that President Obama signed off into a bill a few years before he left office. So it's an extremely well-funded program through the VA. And what I do in terms of nutrition and lifestyle at the VA is under the bigger umbrella of a new program called Whole Health. So much so that 2 half-a-days a week, I actually don't work as a cardiologist anymore. I spent teaching how not to go to a cardiologist like myself. I
Yeah.
joke with my patients, look, knowing everything I know in cardiovascular medicine, I don't want to be my patient. I don't want to be anywhere within the vicinity of my office. Why the heck do you want to come to me?
I think you just wrote the title of your own book, which I hope you'll be writing, How Not to Go to a
Or
Cardiologist.
not to go to a cardiologist. The information is there, though. If you really, a lot of people have asked me is to, write a book. And I said, look, a lot of these things are, very simple, basic foundational principles. And I reason with my patients, do you really need a board certified cardiologist knocking on your door every day to tell you to eat healthy? Right? Since we were kids, no matter what culture we come from, mama told you to eat vegetables, eat those vegetables. Right? Do you need a cardiologist harping on you every single day to go for a walk? Do you need a cardiologist telling you that you need to sleep? You need to have good social relationships? This is, a lot of it is, it actually, it's I don't want to, make it less valuable just by calling it common sense. But the hard part is that how do you make it practical? Right? That's the hard part. I think I've gotten very good at convincing people, informing and inspiring is the easy part, right? And how do you make it deeply personal and practical? That's where a lot of roadblocks come in. Because I'm in the business of education, so that, it's working at the university and the VA. So as an educator, I feel like I've gotten that part, pretty well covered, as to how to inspire and inform people. And then especially since I started running this clinic and meeting with predominantly Vietnam era veterans who are kind of set in their own ways, and look them in the eye and say, XYZ reasons, I want you to undo everything that you've been doing for 40 years. That's where rubber hits the road, and that's where I actually have the most fun. Is that how do one? I'll give you an example. Is just to see how to connect with this. I had a patient. This was about 4 or 5 years ago now. One of our nurse practitioners came to me, Dr. Reddy, you got to come see this man. So I went and saw this man. Then he already had a bunch of stents, about 7 or 8 stents, 3 or 4 heart attacks, and completely maximized on all medical therapy. And I literally held his hand. I said, what do you want me to do? Let's have just a man-to-man conversation. It's not a doctor lecturing to you. Yeah. And then I said, I really want you to consider, at least for 2 months, I want you to consider 100% plant-based diet and see what happens. He looked me straight in the eye. Doc, I'm a butcher. This ain't going to happen. And I said, to me, that was a kind of a challenge. You know what? How do I overcome this barrier? How do I overcome this barrier where something so simple as changing a diet could be useful? So what I told my nurse practitioner is that take this patient out of your clinic and plug him back into my clinic. So every time he comes, he directly comes to me. So about 8 months went by. The next time he actually bumped into the hallway, bumped into me in the hallways. He goes, much older than me. He goes, kid, I want you to know something. You converted the butcher into a vegan. But it took me literally 6 months of working with him. The issue is that we have to allow ourselves as professionals to meet them where they are at. Because a lot of barriers, a lot of social barriers, financial barriers, cultural barriers, lack of support at home, and just it's easy to say, hey, go home and become a plant-based, or go home and start completely start doing yoga, meditation. Don't think about stress. It's easy to say these things, but the barriers are enormous.
Yeah, that's an incredible story of the butcher. I would love to interview him, especially if he stayed vegan, because, I've heard of people that were cattle ranchers, exterminators, hunters going vegan, and it's unfortunate that they have to wait until their health is compromised to do it, but better late than never,
Yeah, different people have, different reasons. So many of my patients, some of them look at me and say, hey, I hear what you're saying, but this is not going to happen. And they go home, something triggers. And that's why I put a little booklet, it was like a 15-20 page booklet that I put together for the VA. That booklet has a lot of information. I don't have recipes in them, information in such a way that they do their own research. They spend their own time, so they become experts for their own personal lives. So they're not at they're not at the mercy of someone like myself, because a lot of this information is, if you take little ownership, you spend a little time. Even I'm willing to bet, even at this stage, there are a lot of lay people who are extremely passionate about plant-based nutrition, who actually know more about plant-based nutrition or nutrition in general than most trained MDs.
Yeah, I
Because
would.
we don't get any training. There's no formal training about clinical nutrition, meaning something that you read in a book and how to take it to a diabetic and make them a potentially a non-diabetic, or at least lower the burden. And there's not much of that in medical training.
We have some nice comments and questions like, bless this man. You know, I agree with you, Dr. Reddy, about the informing and the inspiring is the easy part. And then the putting it into practice is the hardest part. If we could somehow take the model of McDonald's to plant-based, that would, you know, to make it that easy, affordable, accessible to everyone. Jesse says, damn, this man is wonderful. So Sharon has a question.
Sure.
She says is her greatest challenge. She says, how do you inspire and influence those that are closest to you, like family and extended family?
You live by example. You have to live by example, preaching to them, lecturing to them, fighting with them, because I've been through all of this. I've been through all of this with it's not going to work. Call me a failure if you want to, because the person I failed convincing is my dad. Right. And the funny part I hear is that I hear this from so many plant-based cardiologists, because I'm pretty much connected to almost all the plant-based cardiologists in the country. And I hear this very frequently. We are doing this work. We are fighting, we are going against the stream. We are fighting with colleagues. We are fighting with the system. And some of our hurdles, the biggest hurdles, are convincing our own parents. So the best way to do this, and one of the analogies that I found very useful when I talk to my patients, I said, look, when I talk about food, yes, I do come across like a science, and I make it all scientific and all scientific. But from your perspective, food is also culture. Food is also a 3 generations worth of grandma's recipes during recipes during. And how do we overcome all of that and still navigate all of it? So one example I gave them was that, like, imagine next Thanksgiving or next Christmas, you're at a dinner table with your friends and family. Think of a situation where you look all of them in the eye, not judgmental. You're not lecturing to them as to what they should do. You just sit there and simply share a story. Hey guys, remember me last year? I used to inject insulin into my body. I no longer do that. And just share a story and think of that as the best gift that you're giving your family for Christmas.
That's beautiful.
Or Thanksgiving, or either one of them, the big holidays. So when you do that, I said, to me, that really a genuine gift that you're actually passing on. And instead of, telling them what to do, instead of because it's not going to happen, AJ, it's just not going to happen by preaching and lecturing. To influence the family, we have to live the language. We have to live the word.
Absolutely. We have a very nice comment from Vicky, who says, oh, where did it go? I just want to read. This is a delightful and unassuming man. So you obviously are educated, intelligent. You're a medical doctor. So is your wife. But there apparently is a member of the family that is the smartest of all of them, who at one time was 11 years old and went plant-based before the parents. Can you talk about that? Because I think that's really.
Why don't I have her tell you? Why don't her? She's right here. She actually can. Why don't? Let me move from this.
I would love to meet her, because hi.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
You don't look like you're 11 anymore.
No, I'm almost 17. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, your dad talks about you all the time when he does a podcast, that before this even happened, that he had an 11-year-old daughter who went vegan before the family. Could you talk about that? Because I think it will inspire children to sometimes realize it's okay to disobey your parents in certain situations.
Yeah, of course. Well, when we were 11, my dad and our birthdays are actually a week apart. So we went to the beach, Clearwater Beach, for his birthday, and we were just walking on the beach one day, and it was like in the evening time. So there were some guys like trying to fish in the ocean. So there was like this baby shark, like you could hold it, but they brought it out onto the shore. And after they brought it out onto the shore, I just kind of like gravitated towards it because I wanted to know what was going on. So I saw that, and then that was sort of like traumatizing for me. I mean, I was only 11 years old, so like I guess like that's a natural response. And so from that moment on, I kind of told my parents that I'm not going to eat meat anymore. And so that I was vegetarian for 3 years, and then vegan for 2 years. So I'm vegan as of right now, plant-based. Yeah.
Well, we have comments that you're gorgeous and obviously brilliant. So that's really great that your parents supported you in that, because I know I hear from a lot of kids that their parents just won't.
Yeah. My dad, he became vegetarian about a year after I did, and then just everyone sort of followed along.
So your mom was the last holdout?
My sister actually was. It was me, my dad, my mom, then my brother, and then my sister.
That's amazing. Well, how do you feel? Because you
Uh,
look great.
I definitely feel better. Yeah. During this like stay at home order, I've been like I've been doing a lot of running lately. So I'm like learning about how like the body's able to work better when it gets better food and like physically, and also like with school and stuff, I'm able to have more energy, like working at later hours. I'm getting better grades as well too. So I guess I'm functioning at a higher level.
That's amazing. Did your dad talked about social pressure. Did you experience any social pressure as an 11, 12, as a child that was eating differently than the rest of the school and the rest of her friends?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Even now, I still get a lot of pressure from that. Not necessarily pressure to a point where I would change my lifestyle, just pressure to a point like where people, not necessarily negative comments, but they have an opinion about it. So they kind of like try to argue or pick a fight sometimes about like where do you get your protein from, stuff like that. So I hear that a lot because a lot of kids aren't really used to a plant-based or vegan, vegetarian type of eating. So yeah, I get a lot of questions from my classmates and stuff.
Are you able to, you seem like obviously the fact that you could do this at 11, I so admire you because it took me till I was 17 and actually leaving home. My parents would not support it until the day I left home. Are you able to handle it with either humor or just saying, hey, my dad's a doctor? Ugh.
No, I'm usually able to handle it. Yeah. I mean, I hear my parents, they do their talks all the time. So I'm able to sort of draw information from that and kind of inform people in a non-condescending way. So like to inform people so that they'd be able to learn a little bit about it.
I got to tell you, I don't know if anybody's ever studied plant-based nutrition and intelligence, but I don't feel like I'm talking to a 17-year-old. I feel like I'm talking, obviously you look young, but I feel like I'm talking to an educated, 30-year-old person. You're really extraordinary. The question is, were you ever to influence any of your peers or your teachers?
Yeah, actually, I did. One of my friends, she became vegetarian. Her and her dad both went vegetarian. And then I have another friend, she became vegetarian last Thanksgiving. And she said that when she goes to college, she's going to become vegan because there's not enough options in her house right now. But she says when she goes to college and is able to provide for herself, then she'll start to consider going vegan.
That's amazing. Do you have any interest in pursuing a career either in nutrition or medicine?
Yes, I do. I want to be a surgeon.
Oh my God. But what kind of, like a general surgeon or a
Um,
cardiothoracic
I,
surgeon?
I want to do pediatric surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I'm trying to think because you can't really, if they're that little, I don't know if they're already vegan because they're on breast milk.
Yeah.
That's great. You're great. Again, you should, do you have like a YouTube channel? Can we, I didn't even get your name. I know your last name's Reddy, but
It's Gitanjali,
okay.
Gitanjali.
Did you ever thought of having a blog or a YouTube channel?
I've thought of it, but I haven't really done anything with it. I'll definitely think about it though.
Well, you're very poised on camera. You're a natural. So I would say
Thank
that
you.
this could be I'd say anybody here want to see, would follow this young lady if she had a YouTube channel? And wait, it takes a minute for them to respond. Do you do any of the cooking for the family?
I do. Yeah, I do try to like look up recipes. A couple weeks ago, I tried to make like a Thai mushroom soup. So that was really good because it was my brother's birthday about 2 weeks ago. So we tried to make a dinner for him. And my sister she made a vegan cake, and we tried to do like some pasta because it was his birthday. And we do also make a lot of like non-conventional things. So like different types of wraps, or we try to bake a lot of our things as well. So yeah, we do. My sister and I, she does the baking and I do the cooking. So that's sort of how it
That's
goes.
so nice. Teresa would love to know what some of your favorite recipes are.
Oh, some of my favorite recipes. Well, my mom and dad, they definitely make good Indian food a lot of the times. So that's really good. And Indian food you can make it vegan in a lot of ways because it's mostly just vegetables and lentils. Some of them have meat, but I mean, you could sub that for anything you want, really. I do like pasta, you know, a lot of kids like pasta, but salads are good too. I had salad for lunch the other day. Soups, I really do like soups a lot too. So I think those salads and soups, you can kind of like experiment with what you want to do. So like there's such a variety of things you can do because if there's different cultures that you could sort of incorporate into your food. And that's something that I really like to do and kind of experiment with different cultures of food and not just sticking to one cuisine.
Right. Well, we do have a request in your spare time. If you could please write a whole food, plant-based Indian cookbook.
Oh, okay. I'll think about it. Yeah.
Maybe from your whole family, because I think any ethnic cuisine does lend itself to plant-based, and it's very easy to do without oil. So people are saying that they would buy your book, that they would watch you on YouTube if you had a channel, and they especially are interested in a tikka masala recipe if you have one. So
All right. Yes, I'll definitely. I'll talk to my mom and dad about it.
are most of your friends, okay, I'm old now, so I don't know what all the young people look like, at least in Florida and California. I volunteer at schools and most of the kids are overweight. Many are obese now. Is that the same for you in Florida, or what do you notice with your peers?
Well, in Florida, I'd say when I was younger in middle school, there were a lot of people that are overweight. I feel like in high school, people have kind of sort of become more body conscious, I guess, and health conscious as well. So I see a lot of people like trying to eat healthier and getting their exercise as well. But there's still a lot of people who are overweight in high school
What,
too.
what kind of food do they, I mean, I imagine that you have a choice of bringing your lunch to school or eating maybe at a cafeteria. And I'm imagining you probably bring your lunch. What is the food like in the cafeteria where you go to high school?
Well, in the cafeteria at my school, they have like a little salad bar, so that's usually the thing that I can eat. But the stuff they sell, it's pretty bad usually. They sell like pizza, calzones, they do nachos, at like Chinese beef, stuff like that. So and it's usually like really greasy as well. And so I don't know how that should be healthy for kids, especially when they're in school, and that food's going to affect how, you know, they perform in school. So
Are you a junior now?
yeah, I'm a junior.
But I imagine you're not going to school right now
No.
because it's
Yeah,
right.
we're doing the virtual school.
Nice. Okay, so you're not going to college yet. You've got another year.
Yeah.
Anywhere special you'd like to go?
I'm not really sure yet. I'm just sort of exploring my options right now. Yeah.
I wish I was as smart as you when I was 17. Yeah, I just think you're incredible. Okay, so yeah, everybody wants this vegan Indian cookbook. So get started, please. Do we get to meet the rest of the family? Because your mom's, I mean, do you feel like there's a lot of, when you have both, both of your parents are doctors, do you feel like that's a little bit of pressure that you have to like do something great instead of just being like a poet? Not that being a poet isn't great, believe me, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, they kind of they kind of told us like when we were younger to be whatever we want. Like they said that they had to work really hard to make it where they are today, and they just hope to instill those values in us. So they don't want us to do something where we won't like find ourselves constantly learning. So they want us to be able to like learn new things and get new skills. So I mean, being a surgeon, that was sort of something that I came to on my own. There was no like pressure from my parents. But my sister and brother, they're gonna probably choose their own way too. So not.
Are you the oldest, or are you the oldest?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
We had AJ. We had a simple thing. We told the children since they were little. My goal is not to make another me out of them because one is enough. So yeah, they pretty much do what
That's incredible. Everybody's saying what a smart young lady, what a gorgeous young lady. She has it all together. When you go to college, can I get adopted into this family? Because I did not have that kind of parenting. It was like we had to go to medical school, which I didn't, by the way, but everybody else pretty much
No,
did.
her experience with the shark, the day she decided to give up animal products. And I was right next to her, I'm a photographer by hobby and I'm taking pictures of this whole scene. And as we walked back to the hotel, she was completely distraught. I mean, she was crying. She goes, if this is what it takes for me to eat fish, I don't want to be a part of it. And up until that day when we cooked at home, one of her favorite meals was that daddy's home cooked grilled salmon. And I'm saying to herself, this kid is addicted to fish. And she's telling me that she's not. But I said, I'm not going to influence her at all, because this is something that came to her so literally naturally, just watching something in nature. And I'm just going to be a supportive father. I don't have an opinion about it. I don't know much about this. I'll be honest with you. I used to mock vegans at some point in time, open disclosure. I culturally, and I said, but being a father, all that I'm going to do is just support her. And she did her own thing for about 2 years. And that's when, I kind of started digging into this, not just as a supportive father, but also the science of this. What does this plant-based diets mean? What do they do to the body? Where is the medical research? And here we are.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. I forgive you for mocking vegans, because I still mock cardiologists that aren't vegans. So, and she could write a book too. We could almost get a book from every member of your family, it sounds like.
She will do it one day. She will definitely do it one day. She said,
because my story, I didn't become vegan till I was your age, 17, and it became of a similar situation. I was a lab assistant at the University of Pennsylvania. I wanted to be a veterinarian. And on the first day of the job, the doctor that I was working for had me cut off the head of a salamander for research. And I did it. And it was the same moment. It's like, never again will I do that. So, because you first became for ethical reasons, you have a really strong foundation now, as opposed to people that just do it for their health or weight loss and then they get better and go back. So I have a feeling you're in it for the long haul. So Thank you so much, because, I'm not going to live forever, and you're going to be a great face and representative, to get the younger people in. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I'd love to follow you, but you got to get a channel or something so we can see your progress. I was thinking maybe it could be Ready or Not. Maybe that could get it like Ready or Not.
Yeah.
But with your name Ready, and that could be the name of the channel. Like, are you ready to make a difference in the world? Are you ready to take control of your health? Ready or not? Go vegan. Okay, I can help you with that. But thank you so much. That's amazing. So, you're great.
AJ, my wife just joined us. So
hello, Dr. Reddy. Wow, how are you?
I'm Angela Reddy. Nice to meet you.
Oh my God, you're so pretty. No wonder your daughter is so beautiful. Well, and you are you working from home as well? You're a primary care.
Yes, I'm doing telehealth, so I'm definitely doing virtual. Yes.
Wow. Well, you know what? One of the reasons I didn't want to become a doctor is I don't like touching things, but telehealth I could do. If I could have been a doctor, just not touching the patient, I could have done that. But so is it very stressful in Florida right now?
I just went to the grocery store this morning and things just look like normal. Everyone was just buying their groceries, shopping, having a good day. It's a beautiful sunny day in Florida. And of course I had my gloves and I had my masks on, and I did my grocery that way. But it doesn't look like anything is different in our little town. So it was nice to just get out. I'm just doing that once a week grocery run, and realizing that I could do it for 3 teenagers that we have. It's working out fine.
Are you able to influence your patients in the same way your husband is? Because they're coming to him already pretty sick, like needing a stent, needing a procedure. Whereas as a primary, you're probably seeing a wide variety of things that maybe have nothing to do with nutrition. But are you able to maybe with the COVID now, or just kind of slip in, well, if you ate a little better, you'd have a better immune system kind of thing?
So I did, outpatient. I was in the outpatient setting for about 17 years. And there was a transition that came about in 2015 where I just saw so many sick patients and I felt so helpless that I couldn't do anything to really reverse those diseases. And I had to reinvent myself. And so this entire plant-based lifestyle had just changed my thinking process, what I'm going to do. I'm actually back in school now, taking another degree too, because there's so much I want to do with healthcare. I really want to get into healthcare to change healthcare. And that is where my vision is. I mean, as much as we can do it on the outpatient and influence, and that's why we're part of the nonprofit that he started, the Plant-Based Lifestyle Movement. So we are doing a lot of lectures and seminars in our community to build a great community. But my long-term goal is to be able to influence and change healthcare. So if I can get in there, and that's why I needed this, going back to school and just just getting myself to learn the economy and economics of healthcare, if I am able to do that, then I could influence and make a change in healthcare in a bigger way. But for the community service and the prevention and the lifestyle changes, I'm just so thankful that we have such a beautiful community of people that are so open to change. They're open to learning. They're open to make those little changes. And that gives me a lot of gratitude and really a good sense of accomplishment doing that.
It must be so much more inspiring to have to be a doctor that is actually seeing people get well.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Just to be able to be that influencer, just to be able to inspire. That is my life mission, is to inspire people to make a change in their health.
Well, if there was a reality show about your family, I don't watch much television really, but if they did a show on your family and your story, that would be amazing. We have a wonderful comment from Linda. What a gorgeous, intelligent woman. Same thing was said about your daughter as well. And Colleen loves to hear about your vision for change. Is that all you guys, you and your husband, is that all you guys talk about? Like when you get home from work, like, you know, plant-based nutrition, things like that, what you want to change, or what's it like? Or do you talk about, like, you know, you got to service the, you know, I just think it'd be so fun to be a fly on the wall in your house.
Oh my God, we say, okay, let's get the community together. Let's go out on the trail. Let me invite all my neighbors. You know, we go out on the trail and we go for walks. And during the walks, we talk to the neighbors, we bring up some questions, some health questions, take the kids out for bike rides. We love nature. I love yoga. I love to just sit in nature and just being thankful for this present moment, because I don't know what the future holds. All I have is the present. And we talk about just being happy in that moment and just having each other. Sunday morning is our big day where we just reflect as a family. All 5 of us, we're in one area for 1 hour on a Sunday morning before breakfast. And that is what we've done forever. And it's that 1 hour that we spend of reflecting, how could we change what we did this past week? Or how can we help society? How can we do better for society as we go forward? And what is our purpose on the planet? And how do we respect every part of the planet? And I want the kids to be appreciative of the little things in life and not the bigger things. So we're really working hard on teaching them those value systems. So we do have all conversations from all parts of life, and we have lots of fun. We love to travel. We're into the arts. We love the nature, the outdoors. Cooking, we cook like crazy in our home. For the holidays, I mean, we take over. The kids are one part of the kitchen. I'm on the other part. My husband on the other side, and we just come up with amazing meals. So we love all those kinds of things.
I just want to read you some of the wonderful comments, like Carol. Our society needs lots of amazing people like this. Hazel saying, love the interview, love the information being shared. Nina says, I wish we could clone this family and put them all over the country. Indeed. And Carol wants to know, can somebody come to you as a patient? I imagine your husband working for the VA, they have to be at the VA to do that. But are you in private practice? Because she lives north of Tampa.
No, I work for a company right now, and eventually I will I never wanted brick and mortar to own that practice, because I just wanted to be out in my community. I didn't want to just be locked into an office. I want to be mobile. I want to be on platforms. I want to be able to motivate, inspire. I want to do those immersion sessions. I want to make things practical and not be in that office session for now, because I did it for 17 years, right? So once you've done it for so long, you're looking for alternative roads to follow and things and you want to keep to grow, and you want to see what works for people. So what has worked is meeting new people on these platforms and being able to inspire their lives. And with our social media accounts and so forth, we're just touching people in different parts of the world, and I think this is great. But do I see myself going in and having a telehealth business on my own? I'm not excluding that. That could be something in the future with a lifestyle platform, but it's something still in the process. But healthcare is my concern. How are we going to fix a broken healthcare system? And who is going to be part of this? And how are we going to show insurance companies that they could make money by keeping people healthy? So that is a challenge that I am working on, and I'm hoping that that becomes something that is possible in the future.
Great. Well, we have a question. Can you please share a way to connect with these profound doctors? And I have typed it in several times. I'll type it again, pblm.org. And can you talk a little bit about what that is? Because I'm going to send everybody over there right now by providing the link.
So it's P as in Peter, B as in boy, L as in Larry, M as in Mary. So that's plant-based lifestyle movement.org. So what we do, we've started a nonprofit less than a year ago. We've got a bunch of doctors on our committee, a radiation oncologist, endocrinologist, my husband's a cardiologist, a bunch of primary care doctors. We also have a lot of amazing wellness experts in there as well. And the vice president is, she's a woman who's owned the first plant-based school in Florida. And so we support her mission from kindergarten through 12th grade. I've gone to her school, spoken in the classroom to the children and the students as well. And partnering with these great people in our community has really taken the message throughout the community. And she's also opened a restaurant here in our community, Green Culture. And so it is a vegan restaurant. So it's a place that we know that we can call home, right? Not only a school, but her restaurant. And now we're part of this community education with a bunch of doctors and multiple healthcare providers, dietitian, PharmDs, and we've an excellent board of committee members that we have. So everyone with that great passion and commitment to spreading the message. So it's going to grow, it's going to blossom, and we are going to reach out to areas where we know they have high incidence of chronic diseases. And we're going to those neighborhoods, and we are going to be working with those neighborhoods as well.
That's wonderful. We had a question earlier for Lily when your husband was on, but this question could be asked to all three of you, or your whole family. Maybe you know the answer. What do you guys actually eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And do you take any supplements?
Absolutely. So breakfast is probably one of our favorite things that we do. We can start off, like I can start off with purple sweet potatoes and broccoli and sauteed mushrooms and garlic. Right.
I love you right now so much more for saying that it's not oatmeal and fruit like every other doctor. That's exactly how I eat savory. I love you.
Oh my goodness, amazing. And then I would, so I have this big steamer pot, right? And I would put a bunch of kale in there. I would steam that with some broccoli, and the purple sweet potatoes are like my favorite. So I steam the purple sweet potatoes first because they take longer to steam, and then I throw the kale at the end. But before that, I put the broccoli in there. And that's my steaming pot. And I have my balsamic vinegar for the kale. And I have all the berries in some walnuts or some almonds. And that's my bowl. And then there are days where we have Ezekiel bread with nutso on it and flax seeds and all kinds of berries. What else do I have? I actually made cornmeal. And so I have cornmeal, and I've experimented with the cornmeal kind of pudding that I throw in the oven so quickly. It's just cornmeal with bananas and milk and nuts. And I would cut some sweet plantains, and I would just bake them, and it'll come out like a beautiful like cornmeal porridge, but it's more like a cake, like a mushy thing, and a lot of vegetables on the side with berries and some nuts. So those are the kind. Oatmeal, of course, is always there. Chia puddings are always there, but things that are more flavorful, savory, even putting steel cut oatmeal, cooking that and throwing edamame on top of that with kale and some sriracha on that. That's a beautiful breakfast. I love that too.
Oh, gosh. That's amazing. So Jessica's saying she would be very happy eating at your house, because I'm so with you. That's exactly how I eat. You mentioned balsamic vinegar, and I was curious if there's a certain flavor or brand you like, because almost always when we're doing these, we have Thomas and Ethel from California Balsamic on. And whenever I'm interviewing a plant-based doctor, he usually offers to send them some free samples. So hopefully, I'm just curious what kind you use. And
Sometimes I get the reduced balsamic vinegar because the kids love that on it. Like if I were to do Ezekiel toast, right? And I have kale and mushroom on that. And then I put a little bit, sometimes I do the walnut butter, like just taking walnuts and just making with a little bit of garlic and a little bit of plant milk. And I just make it into a walnut spread on Ezekiel toast. And then I have some cut up tomatoes with some steamed kale. And then I put the balsamic vinegar on the top, the reduced one. So that has a little sweetish taste, and the kids love that. They can have that for breakfast if I'm able to put a little bit of sweet to it. Sometimes we do toast with beans and purple onions and kale, and put a sprinkle of chia seeds on there. And those are like, as long as they have beautiful colors, the kids get so excited for that. And when I need to tame them, like I say, when they're upset or they're moody, I say, come here, mommy's got to tame the dragons. So what I do a kale bowl, but what I do a lot of the green, just the kale in a blender with some mangoes and some plant milk. And that's the base that I use to put some granola, some nuts and fresh berries. And they have no clue that there's kale in that bowl.
That's amazing. Have you tried the flavored California or flavored balsamic vinegars? Because the owner of California Balsamic has now joined us, and he's happy to send you some samples. So have you ever tried the flavored ones? He has a curry. Can you believe it? A curry balsamic vinegar that's reduced.
God. I am open to all of that. I love experimenting. I love trying new things, and I love to say when things are really good.
Yeah. What about writing a book? We've been getting this for, well, first of all, everybody in your family could write a book just based on the story, but just the recipes you're describing, everyone says are mouthwatering. Have you ever thought about writing a cookbook? Because your husband was saying he gives a pamphlet to patients, but there's no recipes in that pamphlet. So I was going to offer to give him any of mine, but it sounds like you have tremendous repertoire of recipes.
Oh my God, the things are the meatballs. Oh my God, the meatloaf. I made a meatless meatloaf with 3 ingredients that was just unbelievable and so fast. You see the sweet potatoes that I told you that I steamed? So I had extra sweet potatoes for the next day. So what I did, I squished them together with some black beans, and I added some oatmeal in there, and I put all my beautiful herbs. So I love basil, I love parsley, and I put some purple onion, some salt and pepper in there, and I squished them together in a bread pan, and I baked it on 400 for about 30 minutes. And then 10 minutes for the last 10 minutes, I brought it down to 300. And I put a little bit of glazed barbecue sauce on that to glaze it with some barbecue sauce. And I sliced it. And they loved the meatloaf, and they had asparagus. They had Brussels sprouts that I had done with garlic. And they love colors. If I can give the kids colors, they'll eat everything. And I couldn't believe how easy that meatless loaf was. But back to your question, have I thought of writing a book? So I love to do demos. So I want to do more videos and show people how easy it is to make these things. So I'm hoping my 13-year-old son will do the technology part of it and help me set up all the videos. And I would love to shoot those videos in our kitchen and show people what we do.
Well, I can do the tech part, because honestly, I interview chefs all the time. All you have to do is do what we're doing now, and I'll do the tech for you. Seriously, if your son is too busy. So when the other Dr. Reddy came home wanting to make the change, what was it like for you? Because when Dr. McDougall tells the story, it was like Mary, his wife, just like, okay, she kept going along with it. And same thing with the Esselstyns. Were you resistant to the information? Did you embrace it? Were you like, I don't know?
So I'll tell you what I had started to do already at my clinic. So with my nurses, I had started a 30-day challenge with them. And my 30-day challenge was, so they were all looking to get healthy. Dr. Reddy, how do we get healthy? So I said, this is how we're going to, and this is before I became completely plant-based. So I had already started. I said, I want you to go 30 days without anything come from wheat. So no flour and no processed sugar. Can you do those 2 things for me? And they said, yes, they can do it. And the beverage that you're going to drink is water. So no soda, nothing that has processed sugar. If we can make these changes, and I want lots of vegetables, I want greens and beans and berries. Can you do that with some nuts? And some of them had a little bit of fish and chicken and so forth. And for 30 days, one of my nurses lost 17 pounds, just like that. And we had our exercise, and I had them on I had everyone upload a picture of what their exercise, they had to do 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. I made them accountable, and we shared it in a Facebook page. And after 30 days, they did amazing. So when my daughter went completely vegetarian, I said, okay, we'll support you. But I loved making tandoori. We had done a lot of tandoori chickens in the past, and we had to stop making all of that. But as I started reading How Not to Die and all the plant-based books, I felt like I was robbed out of my medical education. And the information that I started to read, and the more I explored the science behind it, it made so much sense. And I just said, that's it, we're done, not just for the science, but the ethical part. The ethical part, I did not know about slaughterhouses and what went on there. I didn't know about all this stuff, so I had to relearn. And I think from sustainability standpoint for our planet, planetary health, human health, sustainability, and now it all makes sense. And for someone to continue this lifestyle, it has to make sense.
Wow. You guys are I had no idea that I was going to be so touched, moved, and inspired by talking to you guys. So this is just,
when I, AJ, when I came home and said, you know what, I'm going to support, not, one of the things I started doing was that when my daughter went, not completely plant-based, but went predominantly vegetarian, and we just allowed her to do her thing. To us, it was not even a big deal. I know she's her own thing, and life went on. We were still eating chicken. We never ate red meat as a family. We never ate. Maybe the only red meat we probably ate maybe once or twice a year was a small portion of lamb. That's about it. We never ate beef, or we never ate pork or anything like that. And then one of the true triggers was almost, you can see the TV in the back there on the wall. And Angie and I woke up one Saturday. This is like while my daughter was still in the vegetarian thing, just turned the TV on, just getting ready for the day on a Saturday. And in a very interesting tone of presentation, we started hearing a man claiming that he can reverse diabetes, he can reverse heart disease, he can reverse pretty much everything that I treat to make a living. And she dealt as a primary care doctor. I said, I'm hearing this while I'm brushing my teeth on a Saturday. And I said, who is this man? I walked up, and the first channel was, I thought it was some kind of an infomercial. Yeah, somebody trying to sell a product. And then it was on PBS. It was Joel Fuhrman. And oh, wow, who is this guy? Joel Fuhrman's way of presentation is a very unique style of presentation. And I sat there and I listened to him very intently. And next thing I know is pretty much I read all of his books. And then he and I speak at his seminars now. And so that was my kind of introduction in an organized way of actually reading about this. But what Angie and I still do is, which most probably, we pick up books, even till this day. Most of my medical knowledge about, these things comes from, if I'll give an example, when I read Furman's books, or when I read Michael Greger's books, what I did a little differently is that, every line or every claim has a medical citation reference, right? Hey, look, when I say this, this helps. The broccoli has this enzyme that has been shown to benefit breast cancer, whatever. So I would actually pull that medical citation. I would actually pull the paper, and I'd read the original source myself. Because, to me, if these things on the receiving end, when I go in front of a patient and a family or an audience, it's still humbling, and sometimes it's a not a scary thought, but it puts a huge onus of responsibility on my end, that what I say to a fellow human being may impact their life. So I can't just do this willy-nilly as some kind of a salesman's style. This is medicine. This is the science of medicine. Because that's the only thing I know in all of this. Even till this day, I approach plant-based nutrition as a pure science, because on the receiving end is somebody else's life, and I have to do it with the best of knowledge and information. Yeah.
Once you had this epiphany, and now that you were saying like 2.5 days teaching, 2.5 days doing your interventions, are you happier on the days that you're teaching versus the days that you're stenting?
Well, I'll give you an example. What we do at the VA hospital where I am, I have 2 other partners, and we take week at a time, and I'm in the cardiac cath lab 1 week at a time. And I looked at my numbers, last year, I can't, when patients come as outpatients, these are not emergencies, primary care doctors or my own partners at the VA hospital are sending veterans, hey, you need a heart catheterization, go to the cath lab. And they show up, and majority of the times I'm meeting these veteran patients for the first time on the day of the procedure. And what I found last year, I canceled somewhere between 15 to 17% of my patients that they do during the weeks that I was in. And there's no way I can do this in private practice. But by saying that, I'm not saying that private doctors are greedy people or they're only doing this for money. Absolutely not. It's a different system. It's a different system. If I cancel 15 to 70% of my patients who are being sent to me for a procedure, I will not be a part of the private practice end of that month. It's just the way it is. So at the VA, we don't think of this as a financial setup in medicine. So I enjoy doing it. And one of the jokes now is that, in the early days of doing this, when a patient sent me a secure message through our portals or wrote me an email, hey, Dr. Reddy, I trusted you, I did something, XYZ changed, I no longer take insulin, I walk more, the classic stories that most of us have heard. I used to get I still get excited, but now, wow, I need to really put this patient and to bring him to the department and have him share the story. Now, when veterans call me and say, Dr. Reddy, I want to come to your class, give a testimony, I joke with them, stand in line. Stand in line.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
and I understand what you're saying. It's sort of like the doctors that have been making such a difference at Kaiser. They can do that because those organizations like to save money by not doing the procedures.
Yeah, because the likes of Kaiser and the VA, for what it is worth, is the largest integrated healthcare system in the country, if not in the world. And it's a beautiful platform. I go there. I'm truly a public servant. I do this because just to enjoy medicine. And in doing so, that's another interesting argument, since Ange talked about the whole transforming healthcare. From day one, I've been arguing this. It's like, look, I'm some kind of a big shot, interventional cardiologist and the director of the interventional cardiology program at a major teaching hospital. I said, I tell you what, plug me out of that equation. Just take me out of that equation. Put me at a remote VA clinic as an outpatient cardiologist, right? We'll never set foot in the hospital, no fancies, no procedures, none of that. And most of my contemporaries would look at me and say, that's a mediocre step down. Right, it's a mediocre step down, working for Uncle Sam as a public servant and drawing some mediocre salary. And the argument that I always made, that mediocre salary, even if I were the single source of income, the way American salary systems are, that would still put me in the top 2 to 3% income in this country. And I said, why does medicine have to be a business this way? Why can't the entire country have the VA type of model? Make it better. I'm not saying VA is perfect or some kind of a utopian model. We have our own issues, but have a system like that and make it accessible to everybody and focus on prevention. Because look where we are today. I mean, trillions of dollars being spent, and 16% of America has at least four or more chronic medical conditions that they're going to be on medical therapy for the rest of their lives.
I couldn't agree with you more, but you're going to have to change a lot of people's minds that actually like that business model, because
well, I mean, look, the main reason that Angie and I do this, we spend so much time, we, as if we don't have enough to deal with, we started a nonprofit going into the communities, talking about it. It's one simple reason is that I want to take to my grave one simple logic is when I saw something horrible happening in my sphere of influence during my lifetime, I did not sit on the sidelines. I tried. That's all I want to do. This is not for glory. This is not for some name or fame. I just want to say to myself that something bothered my conscience and I worked on it. That's it.
Well, that's exactly what happened to your daughter when she was 11.
Yeah.
Well, it runs in the family. You guys have been absolutely a delight to talk to. Katie says, beautiful souls. I'm lucky to know them. Hopefully we got you a bunch more fans. People want your recipe for your loaf, if you would provide it.
Yeah, we have both of us have separate, Koushik, my first name. I'm just going to, if you want to, track us, we have our own Facebook pages. I'm fairly active on Twitter.
Yeah, tell us. I've been posting PBLM.org.
Yeah,
many times.
So between Ange and I, we have 3 or 4 Facebook pages. She has her own, Angela Persaud, Angela PERSAUD. I'm gonna PERSAUD -REDDY. That's our Facebook page, and my first name is KOUSHIK, Koushik Reddy, and we also have PBLM at my PBLM, and we sometimes do little videos. For example, this Thanksgiving, or was it Thanksgiving? Or yeah, Thanksgiving. We actually cooked with the help of our children, mostly Ange, because she's the brain behind of all of our cooking. It's amazing. You know, she comes, I always ask her, like, you know, if I think you're asking her to give the recipe, I ask her, that write down this recipe because I want to duplicate this, because you just whipped it out because walking the hallways and you came up with something and you whipped it out and it is amazing. And I can't duplicate this unless somebody gives me a plan. 1, 2, 3, do this. Right? But she goes, nah, don't worry about it. We'll do it one day. But
I know. I think I'm like your wife. I can make stuff, but I can't always remember what because there's just some of us that we cook by intuition, by feel, and it's much more difficult to give exact recipes.
Yeah.
Well, Linda Middlesworth, who's a conference producer in Sacramento, says if she ever does her conference again, she wants the whole family to speak. And Barbara says this was the best. So glad I tuned in. You guys have just been so great. I mean, we got 3 for the price of 1 today. Who knew? That's the advantage of sometimes doing it on the weekends. So I'll be doing this every day. As long as sheltering in place is a thing, I will be going live at least once a day. And who knows, if there's enough interest when we get back to the new normal, I'll keep doing it every day as well. You guys have been so delightful. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to know more about you. And if I can do anything to support your work, please let me know. I'm in California and maybe our paths will cross someday.
Absolutely, AJ. Again, thanks again for accommodating this on such a short notice, and thanks again, Amy, if you're listening, if you're watching. Thanks, Amy, for making the connection. Much appreciated. And wishing everyone best of health and stay safe during this testing times.
Right. I don't know if you guys can read the comments, but if you go to my YouTube page, things like this was great, beautiful family, fantastic interview. You're an angel. The people really love you. So I get going on those books. I see at least 3 books, 1 from each of you, and plus a cookbook, and definitely a YouTube channel for your beautiful daughter. So thank you guys so much, and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
really.
having us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.